To see the review we did on FX1, the non-disc version, I will leave a link in the description. So the FX1 disc is a good beginner bike. It's an affordable way to have a disc brake on a fitness hybrid. This is also would be better for commuting. It's You can probably take this on light off-road. May want to get some knobbier tires, but let's get into the details. So the frame. The frame is an Alpha Gold aluminum. This is a really good grade of aluminum. It's standard now. Used to come under high end. Now it comes on the entry level as well. Dual Trap is um, the Trek computer proprietary computer system. Not a must. You can always get a different one that doesn't work with theirs. You can also get the computer from Trek. It has internal cable routing, which is really cool. Not common on bikes in this price point. Flat mount disc, that's just the standard disc interface, and has rec fender mounts. That's a really good option to have on a commuter bike if you want to carry stuff. And 135 by 5, that's just the rear dropout. That's the standard for hybrids. It's a quick release, so it allows to take off and on, take off your wheels easily if you want to do on repairs, if you have to put in a car. If you're commuting, I would recommend you get a locking skewer. I'll leave a link in the description. The fork, it's a steel fork. It's pretty nice to have. You will see aluminum forks on the higher end models. Again, flat mount disc, standard, and it has a rack mount. Pretty cool. Not a lot of entry level bikes would have the ability to install a rack in the front if you want to carry a bag in the front. 405 millimeter axle to crown. Don't pay too much attention to that. It's pretty standard. It just means it's a fairly long fork that you can put a fender on. Through skew 5 millimeter quick release. It's the Trek version of the through axle. It's slightly stronger, mainly because you have a disc brake. The front hub, Formula DC20. Formula is a established hub company. Pretty standard. This is the disc brake version. It has a 6-bolt, so it's not the center lock that allows for. It's much easier to find parts for this than the Shimano center lock. This is pretty standard 6-bolt, 5x100. 100 is the standard dropout, 5 millimeter quick release. Rear hub. Rear hub is DC31, again made by Formula, good company. 6-bolt. It has this freewheel, so it doesn't have a cassette. It's the pretty standard on any 7-speed bike. It's a bit heavier. It's not as smooth as a cassette. Cassette was what you would find on higher level bikes, starting usually at 8-speed. 135 by 5 millimeter quick release is the standard. The rim is a Bontrager connection. This is their entry level disc brake. So this is not suitable for rim brakes. It's aluminum. It's double wall, which means it's stronger than a single wall. It means you can. You still don't want to go rough off-roading. You don't want to hit too many potholes. It's a 32 hole. It's pretty standard. If you are heavier than 200 pounds, you may want to get a 36, but it's pretty standard. Schrader valve. Instead, the other option is a Presta. Schrader is the standard car valve, so there's more options. You can fill it up at the gas station. Pretty standard. Should be pretty reliable. Spokes, 14 gauge. This is standard spokes. Stainless steel. That's a nice feature. nice, and then the silver spokes. Tire is a bunch of H2. This is a common, this is a basic entry-level tire. It's not great. It's not too strong. It's not really, it's kind of susceptible to flats. It rides quite nice, but it's not a rugged tire. Only 30 TPI. Rolling resistance is pretty good. The 30 TPI, you would wanna, if you're looking for something that performs better, you would want to get something with 60 or 80 or even 100 TPI. This is thread per inch. It usually refers to how flexible the tire is. 700 by 35, that's the standard. Pretty standard for hybrids, for city bikes, leisure bikes. If you want to go faster, you would want to go down to 28. 32 is also a good size, 32 millimeter. Because if you're not running fenders, you could probably go up to 38 with this tire, with this frame. The drivetrain, it's a Shimano Altus shifter, similar to the 7.1 standard. Reliable unit, has a big window, and it's integrated, so the brakes are integrated with the shifter. It's a 7-speed. The front derailleur is a Shimano Tourney. This is a basic front derailleur. It's a bit clunky. It does the work. Over time, they wear out and they develop play. But for the first few thousand miles, it's a good one. It's a 34.9. The frame is pretty wide. This is top swing dual pull, pretty standard for this. It means it shifts up. It is a motion of upward motion. It's standard, not something you would want to pay too much attention to. The rear derailleur is a Shimano Altus. It's a huge upgrade from older years. Very good derailleur. Definitely not something you want to upgrade for now. There's really nothing else on the market right now for 8-speed. Good workhorse. Crankset. It's a generic crankset. This comes with a chain guard. 170 millimeter length is pretty standard. If you're taller, you may want to go into 175. If you're shorter, you may want to go get it 165. Worth trying how it is. Fits most people. It does come with a chain guard. It's a bit heavier, but it makes sure you stay clean. The cassette is center, so it's not a real cassette. It's a freewheel. As I mentioned, they thread on the wheel, and it's a bit heavy. It's a 1434. 14 is the smallest. It's the hardest gear. 34 there's a big jump from 28, which is the 6th gear, into 34. That's a granny gear, 7-speed. If you're not really climbing any hills and you want to go a bit faster, if this is more for fitness, I would recommend replacing this to a standard 1428. I'll leave you a link in the description. Sunrace, it's on the cheaper side. The better ones are Shimano. This is okay. The chain, it's a KMC Z51. This is a decent chain. KMC makes phenomenal chains. Definitely a nice chain on a bike in this price point. The pedals are the weakest point on this bike. Pretty cheap pedals. They tend to break. We had to replace a lot of these over the years. Don't expect this to stick around for a long time. Usually after a few falls, or if God forbid a crash, then usually the pedals break. I would leave a link in the description for better pedals. The saddle is nice. This is a bunch of their sport. Here's a quick. This is a pretty nice saddle for a bike at this price point. It's a fairly expensive, $35 for a basic saddle. Very nice saddle. If you are more into comfort and less into fitness, I would recommend a thicker saddle, something with more cushion. Again, I'll leave a link in the description, something that I like better. Let's move on. The seat post is pretty standard seat post. Nice seat post for this type of model. Handlebar, I would say pretty weak point on this one. It's a steel, which is pretty heavy, and it's 25.4. This is the older standard. Highly recommend replacing with a wider 31.8 millimeter. If you were looking for something a bit more upright to start writing, you may want to get something with a bigger rise. This is only 30 millimeter. It's about an inch and an eighth. You can easily go to 2.5 inches. It'll give you a much nicer writing feel. The grips are nice. These are the ones for satellite. Very nice grips for this price point. The stem, the aluminum stem, again, at 25.4, if you're replacing the handlebar you want to replace, you will need to replace the stem. Again, if you want something more upright, 10 degree is pretty low. This is more for fitness and commuting. If you want something more for leisure, I would get something with a 30 degree or at least a 25, something like that. Headset is a 1/8 threadless sealed. That's a nice headset for the price point. It means it's not a loose bearing. This is less susceptible to water damage. And the brakes. These are Tektron's brakes. Probably they're nice in the beginning, but after a while they are not as good. If you have this bike, after a few thousand miles, the brakes show that they're not as strong, and I would highly recommend replacing this with something else. I'll leave a link in the description to a much better disc brake, which is really not too expensive. And then as far as the weight, it's a 28 pound. Anything sub 30 pounds, especially with disc brakes, is pretty good. So overall, what I think about this bike, it's a good, really good bang for the buck at $550. You get very good rear derailleurs, and you get disc brakes. Again, not the best disc brakes, I would say, even not great. Definitely worth upgrading. You can also get, usually with even the next model up, the 7.2, the brakes are not that good. This is a good things to change. I would definitely, first thing I would do is replace these brakes if I had this bike with something stronger. The rest of the bike is actually very good. The frame is very nice, good quality. Paint is really good. Over the years, the Trek effects have been good. On the market, they are really reliable. The crankset is no name, but it's acceptable. The track frames are really good. The wheels are pretty good. The tires, I would say, not the best. They're pretty flimsy. They get a lot of flats. Definitely, I would say upgrading this would be the first thing I would do is replace the tires with something flat resistant. And I'll leave a link in the description for something better. And also the brakes. They're good in the beginning, but they get weak very quickly. That's it for now. If you like this review, please leave a like, share it if you know somebody is looking for a bike, and we appreciate if you subscribe. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment and we'll do our best to answer. Thank you very much, and thanks for watching.